Welcome everyone! This morning we are taking a look at the Winco OMF-17 oven mitt. I've had this oven mitt for about 3 weeks now, and even though I've used it for a variety of tasks, it still looks almost brand new. There's very low wear on it whatsoever. In this video, I'm going to be covering 3 parts. First, I'm going to do a quick overview of the item and the specifications. Then we're going to talk about functionality, and finally we're going to talk about fit and finish. So let's begin. We can see the overall length of this item comes in at about 16 inches. The overall width at its widest point comes in at 7 inches. And if we look at the construction, we can see that it has this rather rigid outer shell fabric, the green colored one. And on the inside we have a thin layer of synthetic insulation. Moving on to functionality. Even though the insulation is a little bit thin, this oven mitt does a really good job of protecting your hands. I do a lot of work with cast iron, and that's one of the most demanding tasks for an oven mitt because cast iron is heavy and it flattens that insulation, and the heat gets through a lot easier. But I was making this bread yesterday, and I took it out of the oven and I wanted to see, okay, how long can I hold this cast iron pan, this 12-inch heavy cast iron skillet with this oven mitt? So I gripped it and I set a timer, and it held up for about 9 seconds before I felt the heat starting to come through, which is pretty good for those conditions. The other thing I really like about this oven mitt is the extra long length over here. It gives your upper arm some protection. You know when you have a tray that's sitting on the top shelf of your oven and it's a little bit deeper in there, you have to reach in and grab it, and then this upper part of your arm over here starts to get close to that upper heating element. This oven mitt is perfect for those conditions. One drawback I found with this is that it's a little rigid, especially out of the box. The first time I used this to pick up a tray, this glass tray here, I tried to do it one-handed and I almost dropped it. Also, this outer shell can be a little bit slippery on some materials. So again, be very careful when you're working with something like glass, which doesn't give you the most solid grip. Now, as the description says, these gloves are flame resistant. I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Let's see if we can get this on camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see after 5 seconds of exposure to open flame, there's very little damage to the material itself. You can see there's a little burnt spot over here, very small, and the fabric is still intact. See, it's not damaged. Now, even though this fabric is resistant to open flame, the stitching over here is not. I repeated the experiment on these areas here, and we can see the stitching fell apart. It took about 2 seconds or so. Moving on to the last part of our review, fit and finish. Right out of the box, this item was ready to use. There were no tears, defects, deformations. The stitching was all done correctly. I didn't see any tears or gaps in the stitching. I didn't see any tears in the materials. I checked the internal lining and everything was intact. To sum things up, this is a very solid oven mitt. Very rigid, very durable. It is a little bit stiff, especially at first, so be careful when you use it to grip anything that's slippery. I hope this review was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I will do my best to answer them in the comments section.